So before we really get started here, we need to tell Premiere what size and format of video we are making. So this step is also really critical. We're going to go to File, New, and create this sequence, also known as a timeline. This is where everything's going to go and what we export at the end. It starts at 0 seconds and it goes forward in time for a very long time. You've seen videos that go for 10 hours on YouTube. It's a 10-hour sequence. So let's choose File, New, Sequence, and you can see that I'm already on AVCHD 1080p 30 frames per second. This isn't the default. There's so many of them that they didn't try to decide which one is going to be the most common, and instead they went with the oldest format from when we first started with digital video. And this is very low resolution. The pixels aren't even squares, they're rectangles. It's horrible. If your video is built on this timeline, this sequence, it's not going to work, and you pretty much have to start over. So this step right here, do not skip it. Go to AVCHD. We're doing 1080p. That's Blu-ray disc resolution, and the standard is 30 frames per second for this project. I also want you to change sequence 1 to master. My habit is just to always start off making my first sequence the actual size I want to export and call it master. So here in my asset box, I've got a timeline. You can see it appeared right here, and it's called master. This, I call it my laser pointer. It's actually the current time indicator, or CTI, and this right here shows me what I have to work with. So far, all I have is this master sequence. If this gets closed accidentally, it didn't lose all my work. It's right here in my asset box, my project folder, and I can double click on it and it opens back up. There are different ways of viewing this. There's freeform view, and there's also list view. This is the one that I'm most used to seeing because you can see a whole lot more, and this is the little symbol for a timeline. So we're going to import our folder filled with pictures right now. My favorite way is just to double click in this spot right here. You can also go to File, Import, but if you just double click, we're here in our project folder, and this is the folder filled with all our goodies. I'm going to import that folder. So one by one, those images have been imported, and then it hit the Photoshop file. And you can see all the different layers from Photoshop. We don't want to merge them all together. That would be kind of a mess. That's what the snip looked like. What we want instead is to keep the individual layers, and we want them to stay the full document size. That's 1920 by 1080, the same size as our master sequence. So they'll fit in there perfectly. So individual layers of the document size, and just click OK. So now we've got a folder with my favorite assets. Inside there you can see the list of pictures. The reason it was so important to have those numbered is that now we can select the little groups 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We can see them all in order. And here is another folder. That's what the Photoshop file got turned into. If we open that one, expand it, you can see that we have all of these. Now they're alphabetical. So I've got animals, and I've got my backgrounds right here that I wanted to use. And then I've got my other categories and the rest of it. So I can click on this one right here, and it takes me back to the main level. So I'd have to go back into my favorite assets. Here's the pictures, so you can see them in a different way. And if I go into my Photoshop titles, you can also see thumbnails of those. So whichever way you're most comfortable with, you can put them on there. So we'll be building our timeline by dragging pieces over to here, and I can go back up a level and see what this looks like, and then go up one more level. And again, I find this a lot easier to see. This is more standard, what I'm used to seeing like on File Explorer. So depending on how you need to find your stuff. So once those are all imported, we need to save this. So go to File and Save. Remember, we've already told it where to go, so it shouldn't be any problem if we want to close the project. And let me simulate starting the next day. So closing Premiere altogether. So I'm going to use my File Explorer here, and you can see that there is my Premiere project. So to keep working on it the next day, you're going to double click and it will open the program for you, and you can just continue with known issues whenever you see that. And you can see there is an autosave folder. You don't want to rely on that. So Control S, save as frequently as you can. Anytime you accomplish something, you should be saving your project. And here we are. So we know that this is the one that's being backed up every day and has all of our latest work. If it's not in that folder, we need to fix that early, not later on when you can't find your work.